of his creation. Now, I want to bring out something that was important here. Moses, as according to the scriptures, never said, "Oh, don't let me die." Now, the emphasis wasn't even his death. The emphasis was, you're not going into the land of promise. This is as far as you can take. And this is it. The new order, Joshua, is a transliteration of Jesus in the New Testament. Joshua, as Derek Prince taught me this, led the children of Israel into a promised land. Jesus led the children of God into a land of promises. Israel's land was geographical, physical, seeable, limited. Jesus's land of promises was spiritual. The transformation of people's lives were physical, but it was an unlimited potential. See, what Jesus did, no man had done. He became the propitiation for the whole world and said to his own disciples, "The works that I do shall you do also, in greater works." He was able to take them and show them the demonstration of how to function as someone born of God, and then told them, you shall receive power after that, the Holy Ghost. What's he saying? To be witnesses. In other words, to be just like me. They were going to die like Moses, but not die whining. And so you see this. So watch. This is Moses' death. He didn't say, "Oh God, I don't want to die," like so many people during the time of COVID did. "I don't want to die." So they saved their own life. Moses did not mention at all saving his own life, nor did Paul. As for me, I'm reading 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 6 now. As for me, my life has already been poured out as an offering to God. Now, whoa, you got to get that right there. What? What are you saying, Paul? My life has been poured out as an offering to God, which meant that his priorities were not his at all. His priorities was God's reason for bringing him into the world. Now, his authority was that he had the ability and he was given the assignment to bring the whole Gentile world to Christ. And I've read to Romans 1 before that he actually in effect did it. Moses brings the children of Israel out of bondage right to the land of promises. He couldn't himself go in, but Joshua had it easy to bring them in compared to what Moses did as the great shepherd of Israel. Now, here Paul, nearing the end of his life, is talking now to one of his sons. And he says to him, again, 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 6. Now, come on, people, with me this morning. I don't care what gender you are, if you're a woman or if you're a man on the line with me now. This is stuff not about your gender, your education, your finance, your position. This is about your availability to God and the purpose of God for your life. He made you a woman if there are only women listening to me right now. But in the future, there'll be men listening to this message. Are you going to get to the end of your life and be able to say this? Now, I'll guarantee you, with the grace of God on my life, I'm pressing for the mark. My life isn't amazing in terms of accomplishment. I don't care about that. I want it to be amazing in terms of my surrender. I want God to allow me to become what he made me for. Not everyone is going to have a huge church or worldwide ministry. There's some faithful little soldiers like the widow's mite, see, or what are the other women in Luke 8 company, and they're financing Jesus' ministry. The great value he puts to that. He gives them plaudits for it. So forget about that American thing about how large you are and how important and whether your books are bestsellers or how great of a writer you are. Nonsense. All of that is God's ability. But your will yielded to God is your being, look, a co-laborer, right? Your yieldedness is what he's after. Under any circumstances, in every circumstance. Okay, let me read. As for me, my life has already been poured out as an offering to God. That's his choice. Look, the time of my death is near. That's just like Moses. What? You getting ready to die, Paul? Yeah, I'm getting ready to die now. What? I fought a good fight. I finished the race. I have remained faithful. Now, those 3 points, you should mark them. And then do a study on each one of them. See? Okay, right? I fought a good fight. I finished the race. I've remained faithful. Isn't that something worth looking at in terms of your own life and my own life? And now the prize awaits me. What is that? How did you know what awaits you, Paul? The crown of righteousness. What? What do you know about the crown of righteousness? Is that something you put on your head, Paul? Are you going to have a throne with that, then, that crown, or do you sit on a regular chair? What is that? That's a human way of understanding that. Now, he's talking about, again, authority, but basically he's talking about responsibility. He's saying, I was faithful here. That equates to some assignment there. Do you get that? See? Your life is a seed life that takes you somewhere. That's true naturally. You don't educate, you don't grow, you don't work hard, you're not responsible. That takes you somewhere too, but usually not a good place. Come on, people. I got to roll through this. And by the way, it was said in the men's conference, I preached way shorter than Bishop Hunt. I mean, he was going for it. He's in total disagreement with me about that. When he was talking about biblical worldview, I interrupted some of that, and I got with him. We used to do that kind of thing all the time. But we love God, we love the truth, and we don't just like preaching, we love people getting it. That's what we love more than anything, is that they get it. And they can then assess their own life before God and be an example before others. That's the point. The time of my death is near. I fought a good fight. I have finished the race. I have remained faithful. And now the prize awaits me, the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, look, the righteous judge, will give me on the day of his return. So now he's saying, I'm not going to get it as soon as I die. I'm about to die right here now. No whining. Same as with Moses. I wanted you to see an Old Testament and a New Testament example. And he says this, and the prize is not just for me, but for all who eagerly look forward to his appearing. What is he saying? That is not going to whine at the time that God's finished with them. That's going to face death, darkness, evil while you're in this life. See? You can see by reading Hebrews chapter 11 that a lot of people didn't get their prayers answered and died deaths that you and I wouldn't want to die. They're martyrs. See how some of them died. Incredible. You tell me that God doesn't give us grace for how it's going to end up. I wanted you to see two champions of the faith, both with Moses and also with Paul, how they faced the circumstances of life all the way to the death. Now, what I want to say is that you and I are called to make preeminent the life from the next world as way more powerful than death in this world. That's That's my point. If you get it, then all the things that we're going through right now, and you can look at the catalog of them. Jesus said there would be signs at the end of the age, and you can see clearly we're going through some of those signs right now. But it's not about your safety. It's about your surrender and mine. See? My availability to God, my usefulness to him. Now, right now, I've been with a few people, and I was with a bishop from South Africa just a couple days ago, and I was with also Bishop Collier. Introduced me to him, and he is over an entire organization. That's his metron, his measure of rule. He's the first African to be over that organization as a black person. In terms of mankind, it says two things. One, respect of persons that lasted all the way up until he became, not that they weren't qualified people way before then, but we got stuff going on in our culture that's underneath the standard that God would want. Two, though, he's got an opportunity now as a first to be an example. Now we had that in this country. We had our first African-American president. The celebration of him becoming president would never be the thing that God wants us to rejoice over. What he wants us to rejoice over would be what kind of example was he for the generation following and for the generation that was a part of it. I don't know what you know about that person. I'm talking about our former president that was African American. I don't know what you know about him. I don't know if you would govern him by what he provided for you, achievement, or just because he's a darker hue. Was God saying, whoo, I'm so glad they finally let a black person become president? No, God said, promotion comes not from the east nor the west. I'm the judge. I set one up, I set another down. Now, I don't see very many people saying that the reason that South African blacks are still strategically in the same position they were before apartheid ended. They may have more access, but in terms of the spectrum of leadership, Afrikaans, coloreds, blacks, still pretty much the same. If blacks, which is the most numerous, and they do have some ability to have some kind of access, but is God saying, whoo, I'm so glad they finally, blacks finally now can do some things that they weren't able to do before. You think that's the way God thinks? God says, I've never lost control of anywhere. I control China. I control Russia. I control North Koreans. I control Cubans. I control the Middle East. Even those nations that are surrounding Israel, I control all of them. I have never lost control. And you know what? I'm going to use somebody I've chosen to make a difference until I decide that the church is now become the glorious church my son is going to marry. While you may be looking at the circumstances, God is looking at our development.